Geometry Dash is a game a lot of people take for granted, and the reason they take it for granted is a simple one. That reason is that it's too simple. You just jump. Maybe you hold, maybe you just spam click. But whatever you do, it's just touching your screen. It's just tapping your screen. Or your mouse, if you're on PC. If you're on PC, maybe your spacebar too. Or your up arrow if you're weird. I don't know why you do that. But what is the hardest bit of gameplay in this game? Now, I'm not going to talk about main levels, nor am I going to talk about entire levels. I'm going to be talking about sections of levels. But what is this? Is it the 8 Jumps of Hell in Silent Clubstep? Maybe it's River's part in Slaughterhouse. Or maybe it's 66p in Sakupan Circles. By frame perfect, it's 66p River's part and then the 8 Jumps of Hell. But what's it by density? It's 66p with 6 frames perfects per second. River's part with 4.5 per second. And the 8 Jumps of Hell with a tiny 2. But we're not done yet, because all of the levels we've talked about are Extreme Demon, which is the hardest difficulty possible. But what if we talk about levels with no star rating? Well then, we'll see some very, very goofy thing. This level here is one called Ballistic Wistfully. Now, why are we talking about this level? It may seem like a badly lit level, but this is why. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, these aren't the same frame perfects either. These are frame perfects at 480 FPS. Now, that's a lot more than 60, but you can't really see. So, here's the same part, but as a layout. You're going to see some very insane inputs. This uses something called 2-player mode, which means you need to click on mouse and keyboard, or if you're playing on mobile, the left and right sides of your screen. But this means that you can have even more frame perfects in impossible levels. Every frame at 60 FPS is 16 milliseconds, meaning a frame perfect is when you only have 16 milliseconds for an input. But at 480 FPS, you only have 2 milliseconds for an input, which is 8 times less. But let's go even further. You may be saying, how do we go further than that? Well, you see, there is an impossible levels list, and Ballistic Wistfully is second on that. What is this level above it? Cycloclick? Well, let me show you. This is the beginning of Cycloclick, and these jumps are insane. With the layout coming up, you'll see. These are all 2000 FPS frame perfects. You have less than a millisecond to click. With the first 2 frame rates for scale, you can see how they change, but 2000 FPS is half a millisecond per frame. Let's take a break from talking about frame perfects and stuff to talk about the impossible levels list. They have a 15 click per second spam limit on levels and quality control on levels. But there's another list. This other list is known as the hardest silent levels list. It has lower quality standards and no click per second limitation. This means we can have pretty goofy things. This is Cat of Tartarus, a level known for its ridiculous spam. But what if I told you it was easy? I mean, it's considered easier than Ballistic Wistfully by a long shot. But then what is the silent levels list standard of difficult spam? Well, let me show you. This is Metathesis. It's known for its insane spam, totaling over 4,000 CPS. This kind of spam is known as fixed hitbox spam. It's called that because the hitbox of your wave icon doesn't go up or down. Going up or down even a single pixel would result in your death. which makes this insanely difficult and humanly impossible. Well, that being said, is there anything that could be harder than metathesis? Metathesis has such ridiculous spam, it's difficult for people botting it with ridiculous speed hacks that make the game run thousands of times slower. Now, you may be confused. Why do these clicks sound like machine gun fire, but really quiet? This is the hardest level on the silent levels list, Back on Track. Well, Back on Track uses a similar gimmick to Metathesis, but blows it up to 11. This is fixed hitbox orb spam. It requires over 180,000 clicks per second. Yes, you heard that right. 180,000. We've reached the end of our incredibly difficult journey. All of these levels are insane, but there's one more I want to mention before I end this video, because it is goofy as hell. This is the final level, named Nessus. It is by far the hardest level ever made. It is impossible in every respect because it requires over 500 billion CPS. It is also one of the longest levels ever made, being over an octillion years long. Yes, I don't even know how many zeros are in an octillion, but I know it's massive. This level is humanly impossible in every respect. Even botting it is impossible. Out of the rated levels, Sakupin Circle's 66% is the hardest due to its insane frame perfects. On the impossible levels list, Cycloclic is the hardest because of millisecond timings. And on the silent levels list, Back on Track is the hardest due to its insane spams. If you enjoyed this video, or at the very least learned something, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it.